AEDs and CPR. Aside from calling emergency services, these two things alone represent the most important and vital life-saving steps that you can take when someone around you is experiencing sudden cardiac arrest. By the end of this video, you should be familiar enough with both to use them competently and effectively, and that could mean the difference between life and death for someone close to you. First, it's important to understand not only what these things are, but also what they aren't and when they're useful. If a person is unresponsive, not breathing, and has no pulse, they're experiencing cardiac arrest. During cardiac arrest, the heart either stops beating entirely, or its electrical signals become so messed up that things get out of sync and it just quivers instead of completing full beats, which is ineffective at moving blood. This quivering is called fibrillation, and that's where an AED comes in. An AED is an automated external defibrillator. Automated because it's designed to be used by any untrained person, guiding them through setup and automatically determining whether a shock is necessary. It's also external to differentiate it from an internal one, a special type of defibrillator that's surgically implanted in patients with certain heart conditions. A defibrillator uses a strong electric shock to try and restore the heart's normal rhythm. It defibrillates the fibrillation. Importantly though, a defibrillator of any kind can only defibrillate, meaning it can only fix a bad heart rhythm, but it can't restart a stopped heart, despite what movies and TV have led you to believe. Ideally, one person can start CPR on a victim, while a second person, if there is one, goes to find and retrieve an AED. You want to use the AED as soon as it's available and set up, but seconds count, and starting CPR immediately is crucial. CPR, or cardiopulmonary resuscitation, is an emergency procedure involving chest compressions and often artificial ventilation known as mouth-to-mouth or rescue breathing. These chest compressions effectively pump the heart manually, continuing to move a small amount of blood through the body, carrying oxygen to the brain and vital organs, including the heart muscle itself. Even though we typically think of CPR in terms of administering mouth-to-mouth, it's the chest compressions which are the most important part because that's what keeps the blood flowing. In fact, emerging research suggests that CPR with chest compressions alone is equally, and in some cases more effective than CPR with the addition of rescue breathing. It may seem counterintuitive that providing more oxygen is somehow less effective, but with CPR, it's more important to deliver the oxygen that's already in the blood than it is to add more oxygen to that delivery system, at least for the first few minutes. What you're really doing is making sure that whatever oxygen the person has already absorbed with their last breaths is making it to where it needs to go in the body. This buys time until an AED can be retrieved or until they can otherwise receive proper medical attention that includes supplemental oxygen and mechanical ventilation. To perform chest compressions, first make sure the person is lying on their back on a firm, flat surface like the ground or floor versus a bed or mattress. Next, move any clothing out of the way to expose the sternum or breastbone. Now put the heel of one hand on the lower half of the breastbone and the heel of the other hand on top of that. Ideally, the bottom hand should be your dominant hand, so if you're right-handed, put your right hand down first. Locking the fingers of the second hand around the first like this can help make it easier to deliver uniform pressure. Finally, push straight down at least 2 inches, repeating at a rate of at least 100 compressions per minute, being sure to let the chest come back up to its normal position between each. Now you should know that there's a high likelihood of broken ribs anytime CPR is performed, so try not to be alarmed if it happens. A few broken ribs are a small price to pay for staying alive. Speaking of staying alive, the classic Bee Gees hit of the same name is the perfect tempo for the minimum rate of chest compressions, so when in doubt, singing to yourself can help you keep pace. If performing chest compressions for an extended time, providing additional oxygen becomes more crucial after the first few minutes have elapsed. By this time, it's more likely that the blood has become depleted of oxygen, and administering mouth-to-mouth increases the chances of success. Historically, the rule of thumb for CPR has been to administer 2 breaths for every 30 chest compressions. But again, more recent research tells us it's the compressions that are the most important part during those first few minutes. To administer breaths if it becomes necessary, first tilt the person's head back, which helps stretch the airway open. You can do this by placing one hand across the forehead while gently lifting the chin with the middle and index fingers of your other hand. Next, pinch the nose closed, take a breath, place your mouth over their mouth, and exhale. Repeat for 2 breaths, watching for the chest to rise as you give each. Now, immediately return to the chest compressions. As a general rule, you shouldn't stop compressions for more than 10 seconds to administer the 2 breaths. Sometimes masks are available to make giving breaths easier since they seal over both the nose and mouth at the same time. While EMTs and other professionals may carry one, it's not something you need in order to give mouth-to-mouth. In fact, the chances of contracting an illness from a person this way are extremely slim, so don't waste time looking for a mask if one isn't immediately available. Perhaps the most surprising thing to many people about CPR may be the fact that outside of a hospital setting, it's only effective at saving someone's life about 10 to 15% of the time. Still, we perform CPR because it significantly improves the chances of survival for someone experiencing cardiac arrest, even if the overall success rate is low. And the use of an AED in conjunction with CPR can improve those chances even more, giving you the best chance of saving a life. Using the AED is fairly straightforward. First, turn it on, and second, follow whatever prompts and instructions you see or hear. Turning the device on is often as simple as opening the lid or pressing a clearly marked power button. The device will instruct you on how to attach the sticky electrode pads to the machine if needed, and where to place them on the patient. The pads need to be placed on bare skin, typically diagonally across the chest where the electrical path between them through the body crosses the heart. But again, the machine or the illustrations on the pads themselves should help you determine where they need to go for an adult versus for a child. If the computer inside the AED detects heart activity that can be corrected with a shock, it will tell you to make sure no one is touching the patient and to press a clearly labeled shock button.
Do not touch the patient. Analyzing heart rhythm. Shock advised. Do not touch the patient. Everyone clear. Press the flashing shock button. Shock delivered.
The process will repeat as necessary, with the AED's computer continually reassessing conditions and providing further instructions, either to deliver additional shocks or to continue with CPR. AEDs have come a long way in the last decade or so, getting even smarter and more advanced. Many models even provide automatic vocal instructions for CPR between shocks, with a built-in metronome sound to help you pace and time the chest compressions. When someone is in cardiac arrest, seconds matter, and in these sorts of emergencies, it can be easy to panic and lose control of the situation. My hope is that armed with what I've shown you in this video, you can be that calm, level-headed person to confidently take control and help save someone's life. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video and maybe learned a little something, and if you did, then I'd appreciate it if you take a second to give it a thumbs up, or a thumbs down if you hated it. Your engagement here and down in the comments helps to get this video in front of more of the people who should see it, and it really helps the channel grow. Videos like this aren't cheap to produce, and I often never recoup the funds. For example, the CPR dummy and AED trainer purchased for this one cost several $100s that even monetization probably isn't going to make back. That's why I really appreciate it when you subscribe to the channel, as it shows me that you're genuinely interested in the type of content I'm making and that I can probably count on you to come back for more in the future. Lastly, if you're a member of or otherwise work with any nonprofit organizations or community groups near you who could use a CPR dummy and AED trainer like this, please let me know in the comments so I can reach out about donating them. Since I have little need for this equipment now, I'd much rather see it put to good use by an organization dedicated to teaching these important first aid skills to members of the public. Once again, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
Press pads firmly on skin. Do not touch the patient. Analyzing heart rhythm. Do not touch the patient. Analyzing heart rhythm. Shock advised. Do not touch the patient. Everyone clear. Press the flashing shock button. Shock delivered. Begin CPR.